On this edition of Good Day DePaul, DePaul President Robert Manuel responds to calls for DePaul to divest from some companies doing business with Israel.
One of Chicago's most famous streets, a DePaul neighbor, now is full of empty storefronts.
The DePaul experience, one student describes it.
And 2 months into the Chris Holtmann era, how are DePaul basketball fans reacting to his changes? I'm Samantha Davis.
And I'm Lena Gebhardt, and this is Good Day DePaul.
DePaul President Robert Manuel has responded to calls for DePaul to divest from companies doing military business with Israel. The latest of these calls came in a recent SGA referendum with 91% of student voters supporting divestment. President Manuel said DePaul has no direct holding in companies profiting from the war in Gaza. Still, he says the university disagrees with calls to divest from Israel. He went on to say that the Board of Trustees has endorsed the administration's call to create a university committee, a committee that will formalize DePaul's commitment to continue the dialogue about the war in Gaza. Finally, Manuel said the university has called for a mutually agreed upon ceasefire in Gaza.
Meanwhile, the protests over the Gaza war continue at some other Chicago area colleges. Several dozen students recently walked out of the commencement ceremony at the University of Chicago, and the university is temporarily withholding diplomas from 4 students from their roles in the protest encampment there. The university is still investigating the actions of those students.
State Street. It's one of the most famous streets in Chicago history. It's also on the western edge of DePaul's Loop campus. But now when you walk on State Street, you see a continuing string of empty storefronts. The question is why? Good Day DePaul's Michaela Wilson has some answers.
On State Street, that great street, I just want to say.
State Street, one of Chicago's most iconic streets, but a street that's had problems for many years. What was once a bustling hub of storefronts and activity is now facing a wave of change. The street, known for its historic buildings and vibrant shops, is now occupied with empty storefronts and for lease signs, painting a picture of economic decline.
They're empty for a variety of reasons. The pandemic, just the decline of commerce, physical commerce in general, like those storefronts have notoriously been filled with big box retailers, affordable priced inventory and goods, and that retail mix isn't desired anymore really by the consumer.
Local business owners and residents have noticed the changes. The once crowded sidewalks are now bare, and many stores that used to thrive have now closed their doors. In the Loop overall, there's a 23% vacancy rate right now, and just on State Street, 50% of the storefronts on the east side are vacant. Downtown buildings are experiencing record high vacancy numbers and drastic cuts in value from 40% to 80%, threatening jobs and the economic well-being of the city. The COVID-19 pandemic hit these businesses hard. However, even with the vacancies, there are some signs of hope.
We're seeing pedestrian activity on State Street in the Loop on the weekends exceeding 2019 levels. So in Q1 of 2024, so January to March, a notoriously quiet season, we saw 107% of 2019 pedestrian activity on State Street. That is indicative of the desire for people to be on the street, but also tells the story of the need for some of those vacant storefronts that you're talking about to be filled.
In order to draw more business to State Street, the Chicago Loop Alliance has started Sundays on State. The event series began in 2021 in response to the pandemic to encourage people to come back to the Loop and accelerate economic recovery. The event blocks off State Street to traffic and has generated revenue for businesses on the street.
And it's extremely successful. Over 91% of our businesses are from underrepresented communities. So that's one great way that we have tried to help visualize and reimagine State Street.
Last year, the Urban Land Institute Chicago, the City of Chicago Department of Planning and Development, and the Chicago Loop Alliance released their final Elevate State report with recommendations to re-energize and enhance State Street from Wacker Drive to Ida B. Wells. The report suggests creating a space to host special events, encouraging an adaptive reuse of buildings, reconstructing the streetscape, and capitalizing on the three main districts of the street: arts and culture, retail, and education. The Chicago Loop Alliance began integrating these plans, such as the interactive state installation along the street. They also added more recommendations to their 5-year strategic plan.
And I want it to continue to grow just like the city is. We're becoming a more diverse and representative city of America and of the world. And I think that State Street has the capacity to do that as well.
With revitalization plans in the work for State Street, consumer resurgence is at the forefront. Many feel the determination to bring it back to its former glory and hope that this famous street can once again thrive. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Michaela Wilson.
Over the past year, Good Day DePaul has reported on the financial and other problems at Columbia College Chicago. The most recent is a layoff of some 70 staff and faculty members. Before that, adjunct instructors went on strike for 6 weeks, and the university president later resigned.
As we come to the end of another school year at DePaul, many of us remember the good times and bad times of the past year. And it's easy to focus on the negative. But the reality is, many DePaul students cherish their experience here. Good Day DePaul's Tori Trevino has one example.
The DePaul University School of Music has over 10 majors and nearly 400 students. One student in particular says that the School of Music has given her more opportunity than she ever expected.
As someone that is not just like a performance major, but is music ed, a lot of places kind of shut you down and say, then you're just doing that. But DePaul has shown me that I can also do performance if I want to.
Scarlett Lucina is a sophomore at DePaul University. Her love for music stems from growing up around it. Her father is a touring musician and loves to take her to all kinds of concerts. Singing jazz songs in particular with her father turned into a special love for the genre.
We would always listen to the song Dream Little Dream of Me, but the Mamas and Papas version. And so we did that together and sang it. And then after that, in 6th grade, I was like, where did that come from? Is that their song? And then that song has been done by every famous jazz vocalist to ever exist, basically. And I found the Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong version. And from there, I just kind of fell in love.
Lucina says that the School of Music has only helped continue her jazz journey.
I've been able to learn so much about jazz instruments I'd never played, jazz piano, learn more about how to transcribe, improv, which is something that I was so scared of coming to school, and now I've done it in multiple concerts and recitals. Being able to be in private lessons as well as an ensemble is just really awesome because I get to, learn as a group, with a group, and learn more about the voice, and then learn more about my voice and what I can do to feel more confident in singing.
In fact, the School of Music gave Lucina the opportunity to meet one of her favorite jazz artists, Grammy Award-winning Samara Joy.
She had come to the Chicago Symphony Orchestra venue, and she completely sold it out, and I was like, dang, I'll just never get to see her. And then they actually offered DePaul 10 tickets, and so I was one of the 10 students that got to go see her, and not only have a, I think it was 10th row seat, which is really awesome for that venue, but we also got to sit in on her dress rehearsal and get to ask her a few questions. I got to be real with her. But it was just really cool getting to see her in her full performance state, as well as a more vulnerable mic check stage, and get to talk to her about the things that she's done over the past years and how she feels about it and kind of learn from her.
Overall, Lucina can't help but express her gratitude for DePaul's School of Music.
Yeah, it's allowed me to meet some of my best friends and learn so much more about music than I could ever thought of, and be able to just really enjoy what I do, which is kind of hard, especially studying music. It can be something that really burns you out, and I feel like that can happen, but I'm a part of a community that helps remind me why I'm there and doing what I'm doing.
The School of Music maintains a jam-packed schedule with concerts from the DePaul Wind Symphony, Trombone Choir, and African Ensemble this Saturday. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Tori Trevino.
Here at DePaul, some students are uniquely combining live comedy with video. I got a chance to see just what they're doing. Students from the theater school and the College of Computing and Digital Media have joined forces to create Get Off My Channel. Get Off My Channel is an original video game and live comedy theater hybrid designed entirely by students at DePaul who participated in what they called the Good Bits, a comedy game jam challenge. The game jam was hosted by DePaul in April in collaboration with the VGA Gallery and The Onion. During the event, students worked in teams and received mentorship from a group of panelists, including Chicago-based comedy writers and game developers.
Hardest part was definitely probably the writing and trying to organize that, because we had to come together as a large group of people, agree on a single idea, and then break off and make work that still was congruent with the bigger picture that we decided on.
Get Off My Channel was then played in front of a live audience at the Annoyance Theater. The goal of the game is to escape a virtual room containing characters that are based upon sitcom tropes. Students who participated in the game jam had a tight deadline to turn their ideas into reality. In less than 60 hours, comedy and game design students came together to produce, model, script, illustrate, and code their game. During the live unveiling of the game, students showcased their improv and sketch comedy skills as well.
So it was cool to see that people are still having fun in a combination of those two mediums coming together.
Reporting from the Annoyance Theater for Good Day DePaul, I'm Lena Gebhardt.
Next on Good Day DePaul Sports, is the DePaul basketball program moving in the right direction under Coach Chris Holtmann? Some fans give their opinion.
And a Chicago area player is making her mark in professional soccer. Those stories and more when we return.
Matchsticks, matchbox, matching tie to matching socks. You don't know why, but you're really special to match point, match game. You and I are not the same, but I can tell that you're really special to me. There's something I can give to make you laugh, to help you live. We're the perfect match, and you're really special to me. We're the perfect match, and you're really special to me.
Adit Jagannathan is here now with Good Day DePaul Sports. Adit?
Lena, the DePaul men's basketball team has finalized its roster ahead of next season. Head coach Chris Holtmann has brought in a mixture of youth and experience, leaving some Blue Demon fans excited for what's to come. I spoke to two fans about their initial impressions of the new roster.
We want this program to be something that all of you who care about this university and this place take great pride in.
DePaul men's basketball has gone through significant changes in the offseason. Following his hiring in March, head coach Chris Holtmann has had to rebuild the roster from scratch. With the new roster now set, Radio DePaul sports host Nicholas Palazzolo feels Holtmann has the chance to set up the team very specifically.
Leave whenever, but he found himself in an interesting spot because he could do whatever he wanted with this roster. If he were to take another job, I'm not necessarily sure if that would have been the case. But they did really good because I had the opportunity to talk to Chris Holtmann, and I believe it was about mid-April. And I straight up asked him, is like, when you're in the portal, because this is unique, you can build this team however you want. What are you looking for? He told me two things. He's looking for shooting and he's looking for rim protection. But he also told me that rim protection was something that was really hard to find because in this NIL world, there weren't a lot of bigs out there.
6'10" David Skogman, a transfer from Davidson, could possibly start at center for the Blue Demons. But Palazzolo doesn't think that solves the size issue.
But it's certainly interesting that they don't necessarily have a true center. David Skogman, he is their best option. He's 6'10", but he also shoots 47% from three. So it's interesting because they got a lot better from behind the arc, but down low, I'm not really sure how much better they got as of yet because we don't really know a lot about these guys so far.
Radio DePaul Sports' James Stoll III hopes the team does not rely too much on shooting, something he feels was a mistake by former coach Tony Stubblefield.
my only hope is that it's not a repeat of this past year, because when Stubblefield, he did almost the exact same thing, going for some of the best shooters available in the portal when he went for Elijah Fisher, Jeremiah Odin, Jaden Henley, and they were shooting pretty well until we made it to conference play, and then they kind of just fizzled out. So that's the one thing I'm really hoping, that we don't see a repeat of that, and we actually see their high volume scoring carry over into this season and conference play.
As for the upcoming season, Palazzolo is not sure what to expect from the roster.
But when we look at it, let's just win a Big East game. Like, can we get to a record? Like, can we get to a respectable level in college basketball? I'm not saying you need to try to win every game, because I know that's not realistic. But in about a 30-game regular season, I think this team should be anywhere between 13 and 16 wins. And that's simply because none of these guys have played together. So again, could they gel right away? Sure. But it's also possible we don't find out what this team truly is until January, because they need the first 2 months of the season just to kind of figure out who they are as a team and what works. Like Holtmann, he's built up an all-star staff with several head coaches. That's a lot of opinions. That's a lot of knowledge on that bench. So now the expectation is, like, it's simple. Just win a Big East game. We win a Big East game, then we could win 2 Big East games, and then we can try to win 3 and just get to a point where DePaul is respectable again in the Big East. Because last year they certainly weren't. You know, DePaul used to be must-watch television. But last year they were, I need to find something else to watch television. That's exactly what they are.
For Good Day DePaul, I'm Adit Jagannathan.
A professional athlete who was selected by her hometown team, Sarah Griffith, is now playing for the Chicago Red Stars soccer team. At the same time, Griffith is also giving back to her community through charity work. Good Day DePaul Samantha Davis has the story.
A forward for the Chicago Red Stars and from the Chicago area herself, Sarah Griffith was drafted in 2022 by the Red Stars, coming from Purdue University, where she held several records like most goals in a season and most consecutive games with a goal. Griffith is currently in her 3rd season now, playing for the National Women's Soccer League, and continues to pave her professional journey. Griffith, a Naperville, Illinois native, remembers the day she was selected by the Red Stars. She first found out on TV, followed by a phone call from the club.
Going into draft day, I had no idea what was going to happen, and I've talked to some teams. I talked to Chicago, but I had no idea. So to land at Chicago was amazing, and that first year, just representing your hometown and having everyone come out, it's been awesome.
The transition from college to professional play is a big step up for any athlete. For Griffith, making sure her body is taken care of and switching to a near year-round season has been the biggest difference.
This is now your life and your career and your job, so being able to get through a 8-month season compared to a 3-month season has been very different. Keeping your body healthy, keeping calm in the ups and the highs and lows. So I think it's been a learning process, and that's why you lean on your teammates and you learn from veterans.
The Red Stars brought in new ownership and coaches this season. An investor group led by Laura Ricketts, wife of Cubs owner Tom Ricketts, took ownership of the franchise in a $60 million deal. Lauren Donaldson was also named head coach. He previously was the coach of the Jamaican women's national team. Griffith said having new ownership and coaches has been great, as the team has been working on building their own identity. Outside of soccer, Griffith works with the Ronald McDonald Charity, which works closely in supporting families and children who are hospitalized. Griffith goes out with the organization frequently to visit people's homes to cook dinner, hang out, and meet them.
This summer we're hosting a huge soccer fundraiser out in Schaumburg, and it's a corporate event with teams that come out and just fundraise for the families to give them a safe and stable home away from home while their kids are in the hospital. So that's pretty close to my heart.
Griffith also works with Football for the World, an organization that donates soccer equipment to countries all over the world so everyone has access to play the sport. Now, in her 3rd season playing professionally, Griffith tries to stay humble.
Every time I take the field, I am extremely grateful to, one, be able to step onto the field and move my body and to play the sport that I love for a living. And I think anytime there's a high or anytime there's a low, I remind myself I get to do what I dreamt of when I was little for a living and go out and feel the sun and smile and laugh with my teammates every day and just play the game that I love.
For Good Day DePaul, I'm Samantha Davis.
And that's sports. Back to you, Samantha.
Thanks, Audit. Coming up, a goodbye to some key members of the Good Day DePaul team. Stay with us.
Today, the heroes that fight day in and day out on the front lines. Those who are there, innovating in real time, saving lives and answering the call to care in times of crisis. American nurses. Nurses who have been there for each and every one of us in times of crisis for more than 150 years. Nurses are the pillar of strength and the foundation of healthcare and life itself. Nurses are there the day we are born. They are there when your family is in crisis, and they are there in the end. In confronting the most catastrophic health crisis in modern history, we must remember our American nurse heroes need our support as much as we need them. To show our gratitude for their courage and ensure they receive the critical education and support services they need, donate to the Coronavirus Response Fund for Nurses today, in honor of your American nurse hero.
Today, we say goodbye to two of our top people at Good Day DePaul, Jack Stalter and Matthew Donald. For the past few years, Jack and Matthew have been our production managers and video editors. They've made sure our program gets recorded correctly and edited creatively. Jack has been with us for 3 years and Matthew for 2. They especially distinguished themselves during the more than 2 weeks of the DePaul protest encampment at the Lincoln Park Quad earlier this spring. Due to the changing nature of this important story, we had to constantly update our program on short notice. Jack and Matthew handled that seamlessly, quickly, and effectively. They were always there when we needed them. They will now undoubtedly move on to bigger and better things, but we will always remember them at Good Day DePaul. That's all for this week's edition of Good Day DePaul. You can keep up with us by visiting our Vimeo channel at Good Day DePaul or by going to goodday.depaul.edu.
And be sure to check us out on Facebook.
And if you have any news tips, message us through the Good Day DePaul social media channels.
Thanks for watching. I'm Samantha Davis.
And I'm Lena Gebhardt. Have a good day, DePaul, and a great summer break. See you next fall.